Hello, everybody. It's Nancy Whitstruck here. The setting for my speech is actually coming from me to you as a fellow citizen of this great state of Iowa we live in. There's a law in this state that I was completely unaware of for most of my life. And I'm going to assume that most of you don't have too much firsthand experience of being incarcerated and without your high school diploma at the same time. I found out about this law in 2008 when my husband applied for a teaching position at the state prison down in Coralville. So basically, this law states if you're incarcerated in our state of Iowa and you don't happen to have your high school diploma, you have to enroll in classes to earn your high school diploma. This is part of a rehabilitation program. Now, the United States has the highest incarceration rate in the world. Almost 1 out of every 100 Americans are either in prison or on probation. Studies have shown that of those that are in prison, 41% do not have their high school diploma, and those on probation is 31%. Now, additionally, for those who have been released, 68% of them are rearrested within 3 years. That jumps to 77% after 5 years. So basically, 8 out of 10 people are getting rearrested after the release. But here in Iowa, our recidivism rate happens to be around 30%. But what's more fascinating is that here in the state of Iowa, for those incarcerated individuals who have earned their high school diploma and have been released, that recidivism rate drops to less than 9%. It's basically less than a person out of 10 being rearrested. Requiring inmates to earn their high school diploma is a more effective rehabilitation program than sex offender treatment, than anger management or criminal mind treatment. And the reason for this is that it opens up more opportunities that these people never had before. They can apply for jobs that they couldn't before. They can apply to secondary education or training programs or trade apprenticeships. And none of these choices were really there for them before. You know, what's interesting is, like us, all of us here, we're working towards our MBA to open up opportunities for us. So this high school program has the same impact on the lives of those offenders as our MBAs will have on us. A while back, my husband had a student in his class. I never knew his name, just know this story. So I'll just call him George. So George was a middle 50s gentleman who was divorced, had a couple of kids. He had been in and out of prisons all over the United States, never really held a full-time job for very long. He found himself in my husband's class. Initially, he balked and whined, I've gone this long without it. Why even bother doing this now? Well, after about a year, George ended up earning his high school diploma. At his graduation ceremony, George was the keynote speaker. About a year after his release, my husband received a note from George, basically stating he appreciated all of the work that he had done and that my husband had done with him. His experience was better than any educational experience he had when he was in school before. So some feel that prison should be straight retribution. Some, they think it's an adult sleepaway camp that us taxpayers have to pay for. I agree that punishment is important. But what's more important is we as a country, as a culture, care about the rehabilitation for these humans. We need to care about how much additional taxpayer money is used for the rearrests. So my ask right here, right now, is to remember these facts and figures. Remember good old George. Care about humanity. Everyone deserves a second choice. Remember these things. If you hear of funding cuts related to prison education. Remember these things as a deciding factor of who to vote for. Be the voice for good. Thank you.